Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this special edition of Spotlight on here at AfterBuzz TV. Today, I am going to be chatting with one of the funniest guys in the industry. You probably know his face. I personally love Brian Huskey. He is here with us in the studio talking all things about his career, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Spotlight On. I'm your host, Sam Davidson, and as promised, I am next to Brian Huskey. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Honestly, though, I'm a big fan. You're one of those guys I'm like, oh, it's that guy again. I love him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm part of the That Guy Club.
But now you're part of the Brian Huskey Club. This is, it's your club now, Brian.
Well, I will say there is another Brian Huskey. There's a celebrity chef, Brian Huskey, who lives in LA, who has messed up my Google alerts. Not that I have an alert anytime my name comes up on the web. Who would do that? But if I did, he would pop up a lot.
Yeah, he did pop up for me.
Yeah.
I shout out to Brian Huskey, number 2.
Yeah,
okay?
a friend of mine a friend of mine's mother is like, oh, I didn't know Brian was entertainment. Now she searched for me, and she was like, has Brian had some work done? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, Brian Huskey, celebrity chef, is Korean, and he has blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you should try to do like a sketch or something where you're pretending to be him.
I wanted to do a thing for Funny or Die, and we talked about it a little bit, but then they just told me to go to hell. So.
Maybe one day. You've had a really great background in comedy. So you started out at UCB in New York, correct? And you were with the OG UCBers as your teachers, right?
I had the original 4, which is Amy Poehler, Ian Roberts, Matt Besser, and Matt Walsh. And then in addition, this other amazing teacher named Armando Diaz. And
wow, that's so cool.
It's I got in at the perfect time. It was the perfect thing for me in my life. Like I was a photographer at the time. I'd always wanted to perform. And then I was roommates with Rob Corddry, who was, he was moving out of being a drama actor into comedy. And he was just like, you're funny, you should do this. And that's all I needed. I was like, oh, me? Okay, let's go do this.
God, why can't that just happen to everybody?
I guess then...
It wouldn't be special.
No, I guess it wouldn't be special.
It wouldn't be special. I'm jealous. I mean, that's really cool because those people that you worked with then, I mean, you're still working with a lot of them now.
Yeah. Well, Jason Mantzoukas and Jesse Falcon I've known for 20 years, as long as I've been doing stuff at the theater. And they wrote this upcoming special we have for Adult Swim called Mr. Neighbor's House 2.
Yes.
And then Rob, of course, I performed with in a sketch group and did Children's Hospital with. And yeah, I mean, Upright Citizens Brigade Theater is easily like one of the greatest blessings of my life. Just I found what I wanted to do, and I found all my friends, and it's great. It's nice.
I've taken the classes there here in LA, and I mean, it definitely, I do stand-up now.
Oh, cool.
And I wouldn't have ever thought I could do that in a million years if I wouldn't have taken those classes. It made me think about everything really differently. So if you guys are in New York or LA and ever wanted to do UCB, do it.
Check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Let's talk about some of your digital stuff, because you've done so much of that. Children's Hospital, did that start digitally and then go? It did, right?
It started off as a web series for Warner Brothers, and just during the time that they were having the writer's strike, because there was just no work. There was no TV work, and all films were halted. And so a lot of people were sort of like, well, let's check out this digital thing. And and they just sort of like did Rob wanted to see if he could direct something, and he did that, and
he did well.
He did okay.
Yeah,
he's trying. It's adorable. He's trying so hard.
Oh.
Yeah. No, but yeah, and then Adult Swim, they picked it up, and they are easily like they foster so much like creativity. It's crazy.
I don't know how much of a part of this other project you had that I'm going to ask you about. You might not have had that big of a part of it, but it's one of my favorite things is Burning Love. And man, I loved your character on that.
Oh, thanks.
It was, and I ran into the woman once at Rite Aid, who's the old lady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just had
she's
to stop
like
her.
she's a that gal.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, I mean, she was just walking around with this little pulley suitcase with scripts, and she'd been going to auditions, and I stopped her, and I said, "Wow, I think you're so funny and so great," and she was so happy.
Oh, that's cool.
So sweet.
That's nice. Yeah, it is cool. You can tell when people are kind of giving you feedback that is like genuine.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, I said I talked to that guy. Like you really.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that made her happy.
I mean, it's a similar group of people that do all of these things, kind of. A lot of them are in the same world. Like even the movies you've been in some really cool movies. I love Step Brothers, and and your part in that really is so funny.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many other things. It was of course, I was about to say Supernatural, Superbad.
Superbad,
Some of my favorite movies. Semi-Pro.
This is the end.
Yeah.
With those guys.
So you also have this other friend group that's not just your UCB group.
Right.
That is, your high-end comedy, Will Ferrell. Like, that's so... How did you get involved with those guys? Because they continue to use you.
Well, they're like Will Ferrell and Adam McKay. Adam McKay specifically is, part of the sort of family tree of UCB in that he was... they all came from Chicago. He directed the Second City show, Pinata Full of Bees. I think he wrote it too. But he used to perform with Ian Roberts and Horatio Sands and Walsh in different configurations. And so when they were in New York during their show, he would do stuff at the theater. So he just became aware of up and coming performers who were in the theater. And one of the cool things about the improv world is it's very supportive. It's part of the mantra, just like you don't let anybody flounder on stage, like make everybody look good.
Yeah.
And likewise, when people have gone on into the industry to make their own stuff, they want that stuff to be good, so they will go to people that they trust or they rely on, or that other people have said, like, this guy's cool, he's not a dick on set, and he's funny.
That's not you, though.
And it's only he. I want to emphasize it's only women. No, but it's just like, if this person is great, then yes. But yeah, to your point, not me. And then they're
I'm
like,
just kidding.
Yeah, but yeah, those guys are great. And then Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. I just auditioned for them through this wonderful casting director named Allison Jones, and that's sort of a similar like vetting process in that people trust her enough to say like, oh, you always have like cool people who are fun and smart and game to sort of down for whatever.
Yeah.
And when I did This Is the End, I was like, it's great to be working with you guys again. They're like, did we work with you before? I don't. And I was in Superbad. They're like, that's right. Oh my god, I forgot. And they're just great guys, and they have the similar vibe of just being really excited about what they're getting to do, and almost like this, like, I can't believe we're getting to do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's not an entitlement of like, I'm Seth Rogen, I get to do whatever. He's like, this is pretty cool. I get to do this.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's awesome. And you get to do a lot of stuff yourself too that, you writing.
Yeah.
So when did you start the writing aspect of your career?
I came in as a writer. Jason Mantzoukas and I wrote a couple of movie scripts that got set up at Paramount, and that's how I got representation out here in LA. And at a certain point in New York, all the jobs are taken. You could work for Daily Show, or at the time Conan was there, or Late Night. And if you didn't get a staffing job or you didn't get on Daily Show, you're sort of like, I can either do commercials or teach. And so you have to head west, young man. That's what we did. But I didn't want to come out here without any
promises.
With any kind of options. Because I didn't, you'd have to basically start over. I was like, hi, nobody knows me. What's up? And I had commercials going, and I'd been in some stuff, but that doesn't matter. And so even when I got here, it took me a few years to kind of get into the rooms I wanted to get into. And
I'm sure. I mean,
it's hard, guys. It's a tough business.
Business.
Right in the camera for that one.
It is. It's true. I mean, with that being said, you've been successful and lucky. I mean, luck is always preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
But you've had some great luck come your way.
I've had some amazing luck, and I'm I'm very, very thankful for it. And, and you also have to you have to take stock of what you have done and be like, that is cool that I have done this and had this. At one point somebody was like, why don't you tally up all the stuff you've done this year? Because I was feeling a little
Was that your therapist?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe my neighbor. And I was like, oh, I had a good year, But one of the hardest things about, as an actor, you just sort of gig to gig to gig, and you sort of feel like you're running to the next thing. But
Yeah.
it's good to be like, take stock, guys. Look back. Look inside your soul. This is Brian Huskey with feelings.
Well, let's talk about, of course, Mr. Neighbor.
Oh, you mean the show that's based on the hat that I have right here?
Yes. I really like the hat.
It's a nice hat.
Mr. Neighbor's house.
I worked really hard on the hat.
So how did you come up with this idea? You guys, it's on Adult Swim, and there was the first part, which came out in
2016.
Yeah, a couple years
December,
ago.
Yeah.
And then the second installment of it is
Yes,
coming out.
Right, Mr. Neighbor's House 2,
Yeah.
June 24th at midnight on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's well, what would you would say? How would you pitch it?
It's a Mr. Rogers, kind of feel, but creepy and at the end sometimes, a little bit off put. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
never gonna show my kids Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, it is not a show for kids. It is a kids show, not for kids.
Well, it's just funny because I've always been really creeped out by children's television. There was a show when I was younger called The Big Comfy Couch, I think it was. And it was like a 25-year-old woman who was dressed up like a baby clown. And she had
Great start.
two big, pigtails. And she had really long black curly hair. And she wore a red nose. And
Yeah.
she would just have a show in relationship with these mice that were under her couch. And it was, to me, the creepiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I
Yeah.
couldn't believe people were showing this to their children.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to be, as a child, there used to be a show called Zoom. You remember? Zoom was like a very 70s show in that they shot it on this big, black cyc. And the kids wear like turtlenecks and tight-fitting clothes, and they do all these kind of weird, just touchy-feely kind of games and stuff. And I remember as a kid, I was like, where are they? What are they doing to these kids? I just felt so disturbed by it. So to answer your question, we got the idea for it by talking about the kids shows that we grew up with. And the common denominator was that we all had yeah, there's something creepy about that. There's something weird about that. Or going back and watching it now, it's like you see how weird and creepy it is. But I don't know. It's interesting. There's that theater here in Los Angeles called the Bob Baker Marionette Theater.
I don't know about that.
It's near downtown. It's been around for decades. And I have friends who have gone to it with their kids, and their kids are just they get lost in it and they love it and stuff. And for the parents, these marionettes are creepy, So there's something, it's like the uncanny valley of, do you know what that is?
No, what's the Uncanny Valley?
Okay, so the uncanny valley is this thing that they do that exists in digital rendering, in sort of for video games or for special effects.
Okay.
And there's something where the uncanny valley is if you try to cross over into the other side of the valley and try to make something too lifelike, it gets
creepy?
It gets creepy.
Okay.
It's almost like the Polar Express. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
There's something really creepy about.
And it's why is that creepy? I don't really know, because they're so close to us, but they're not us.
Yeah.
And so it's, I think, it's easier for us to see animals or things that aren't trying to be human.
Yeah.
As I don't.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
there's this thing that what I've read about is that your brain is more comfortable doing the work of adjusting it and reminding yourself that this is not real, but I'm going to pretend like it's real. And children are very apt to do that.
Yeah.
Why is this creature on this guy's arm? But I believe that this bunny is talking to me. If you make that bunny too real, it gets creepy.
Well, there are some weird people out there these days that are, of course, when they were younger, there was a lot of weird stuff out, like the stuff we're talking about. And there are adult babies that wear diapers, and it's a role play thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, the what are they? The furries? They call those people. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
they role play. They dress up like either mascots or stuffed animals.
Yes, and they have sex. And
Yeah.
I swear,
No judgment, guys.
no judgment,
Everybody.
but deep down, they definitely watch those weird shows, and somehow now they're furries.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's there's always that moment in a parent's life where they're like, am I going to screw up my kid by wearing galoshes and being in the, out here making coffee in the kitchen, and they walk in on me and suddenly they're obsessed with galoshes, or, whatever.
Yeah.
You sort of think is like, oh, I hope it didn't mess you up. So that being said, don't let your kids watch this show because it probably will mess them up.
Yeah, I mean, and it essentially we're not going to spoil anything for you guys, but it's with a man who, is you, that is essentially has this whole world that is his world, and he thinks he's,
It's basically it's like a children's show that plays in the mind of someone who is losing grip with reality.
yes.
And the second one sort of goes into even deeper territory of
Yeah.
that.
I really, there was a lot of funny moments that you had that were, I'm
That's
sure,
good.
a lot of fun to create though. You get
Yeah.
into your characters. You're very good at character
thank
work
you.
and character acting. I totally believe you could be this person or that person.
Wigs have an enormous power, especially if you're bald.
And it makes you feel fierce. You're a different person when you put a wig on.
Yeah. I mean, I would be so aggro if I had hair.
You couldn't do it.
Nobody would like me. Nobody.
Yeah.
That's why I electively bald. I pluck, just to keep it real.
So, have you heard about the Mr. Rogers biopic that's coming out? And who's it? Tom Hanks?
It's Jim Carrey.
Wait, it's Jim Carrey now?
Jim Carrey and wait. Oh, okay. Here's the deal. There are several, and I want to emphasize that we are the first. We were the first by, actually, our first launching of this was a pilot that we did for Adult Swim in 2015. And they were like, well, we're not going to do this as a series, but if you'd like to do this as a special, and then the special turned to a second one, and I'm sure it'll turn into a third one, Adult Swim. Yes. So since that time, there is a biography about him, which I guess is
So random. Why now?
I think it's the anniversary. I'm not sure how many years it is. It might be like 30 years or something. But so there's that, and then there's a Jim Carrey Showtime series
Oh God, I'm going to be so disturbed by that.
that is about a children's show host, a Mr. Rogers-esque children's show host
What?
who loses his mind.
That's BS.
Yeah. So I have to emphasize, we were first. We were first.
That must be so frustrating
It's
for
very
you.
frustrating. It's very, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I believe in some of that woo-woo universe, whatever.
I do too. I mean, I guarantee that there are a number of people who are at home, there's like, we had a script about that stuff.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, yes, people do copy each other, but when a lot of stuff, content comes out about a similar thing, it isn't necessarily people stealing from each other. It's that somehow, some way, everyone just comes up with the same idea at the same time.
Well, it's probably like a perspective thing. It's probably the fact that, Jason and Jesse and I are middle-aged, and so we're looking back, and as you look back, you look at your childhood, and that was like a seminal part of our childhood. So, we're kind of reframing it.
Did you like Mr. Rogers?
I did.
I wasn't that creeped out by him personally.
No, he's not. I mean, that's the thing about him. He's sort of above the fray of all this stuff. And we made a point of just using that territory and that kind of vibe as our starting point. But we did a lot of research into other kids shows from that our eras and stuff.
Right.
And borrowed some like elements and stuff, but we didn't want it to be like, okay, we're making fun of him.
Yeah.
We just wanted to be like
I would not want him to haunt me. I'd be like, whoa, please, no.
a very gentle ghost.
Yeah. Good morning.
But yeah, he is untouchable in just how because I went back and watched some of those, and I was like, oh my God, you're so soothing and sweet and slow paced, and it's almost impossible now. Like I tried to show some of his stuff to my daughter when she was a little bit younger, and she just didn't have the the pacing was just
Yeah, I
she's
mean,
like, why am I in church? What's going on? This is so slow.
kids these days, they need really fast-paced things that are in your face because of electronics, and
Yeah.
it's just they have too much to pay attention to.
Yeah, I know, which is unfortunate.
Why is everyone, I mean, besides being nostalgic or whatever it is, why is everyone so interested in what is Mr. Rogers? What is his story that people, I mean, including you, I'm sure, find so fascinating, besides the fact that he was just wildly successful as this random thing? Is it interesting, or is it just, are people just getting creative?
I think they're getting creative, but I think it's also there's something interesting that. Well, do you remember a kids show called Captain Kangaroo?
I've heard of it. I don't think I ever watched
So
it.
that was one that I actually watched more, and that one had more of a not frantic, but that one had a more slapsticky sort of like he'd come in, do his intro, he'd converse with the moose behind the thing, and then the rabbit would come along, and all the ping pongs would fall on on Captain Kangaroo, and then they'd cut to a cartoon. And we borrowed a lot from that, where we could sort of break out of like home base and go out into the world and stuff. But I don't know. There's something about Mr. Rogers that he created such a world. And I think maybe it is the emphasis. I think this is it. It's the emphasis on the imagination, that for children that was really important to foster that. And I think I'm just discovering that now. I think that's basically, the idea of imagination is sort of what's going on with this character, Jim Neighbours, that his imagination is keeping him safe from, some demons he has in his mind.
Some big traumas.
Some big issues, guys. We've all got them.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
Would you ever want to make this into a series? I mean, is this that's your end game?
Yeah, that was the end game. And so when we did the special, we didn't know if we were going to get to do a second special, so we kind of revealed more than we had planned to.
Right.
Like, we gave a reveal that would have come at the end of the first season, maybe, in that episode. But it's interesting in terms of what that did to us, because they're like, all right, we're going to change from a show that is set in this crazy world where a bunch of crazy things are going to happen into kind of more of a narrative thing. It's more about, why is this man disturbed? Going into the show kind of examines that and reveals something at the end, and we find out who he is. And I think if we'd done the series, it would have been like a slow burn of like little indications of like who he was.
Yeah.
And probably more emphasis on like doing kind of a weird kid show.
Yeah. And even though you really do all comedy, as an actor, this is a dark thing. And I know some of your other characters kind of go on the border of, being dark. Do you ever plan or want to do more dramas, or are you just cool with comedy?
I'd love to do more drama. I will say the dramas I've done are not as fun on set.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And that's a very immature thing. It was like, I don't know, it's kind of a bummer to do a drama. So.
I get it. I mean, listen, if I were you, I'd probably be like, I'm just going to stick to the good stuff.
I did this indie film that was set in the world of pornography.
Oh my.
Yeah, called Mope. And it was intense, and it was, super low budget.
Were you a porn star?
I ran a porn studio, and it's based on a real story.
Oh, so you were real creepy.
I was real creepy.
Okay.
And we had to shoot some creepy scenes, and I got super sick at the end of it. Like, once we were done shooting, I just like got a terrible cold, and I think it was just because I was like, I'm sad.
This makes me sick.
Yeah,
I can't do it. Wow.
I can't even imagine. Like, that's sort of the difference of, and a lot of that's training and stuff. But these people who do a series that is about the death of their child for 3 years or whatever.
I know.
I don't know how you balance that if you just go home and cook like crazy, or you just watch like the Puppy Bowl on a loop. How do you kind of get out of that headspace?
I agree. I mean, I can barely watch those shows. The only way I can really watch those is if there's some supernatural element to it, where I go, oh, it's not real. It's the same thing kind of as a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm wildly okay with it. If you're a vampire, first of all, they can live forever,
No, yeah.
But, I'm able to accept that information more if there's a supernatural element. Otherwise, too hard for me.
It's interesting. My daughter's starting starting to get into scary stuff. And she's the same way. She's totally like, if it's a monster, it's like, well, monsters aren't real. So this is kind of cool to see how these people, but if it is something
Real
tangible
life.
and real and,
Yeah, I feel the same way.
which is sort of now I was thinking about this in terms of horror kind of takes a little bit of a spike in reaction to what's going on in society. The anxiety during the Cold War, led to the Evil Dead, right?
Yeah.
Series, Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
yeah.
Evil Dead's something
That's
different.
a TV show. And so and now there's kind of this people are into going to see horror, like Get Out and A Quiet Place and stuff. And
Oh man, when I went to see that movie, I was with my girlfriends.
which
and
one, Get Out or A Quiet Place?
Quiet Place.
Yeah.
I whispered to them, and I was like, "Is it gonna be like this the whole time?"
Stop screaming!
And they go, "Yeah," and I was like, "I wish I didn't say yes to this." I was like, yeah. We have someone in our live chat, actually.
What?
Our good friend, Carrie Lane. She's a big fan of yours.
Oh, this is great.
And she's bringing up something I also wanted to bring up, which was if Google was a guy.
Mm-hmm.
My older brother introduced it to us. I think it was over Christmas. When you're with your family and you can't ever agree. You want to pick something everyone's going to think is funny.
Yes. Yeah.
And so he was just showing us all of those.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
So funny. And did they come to you for that? And
Yeah,
how did that,
whoever the brilliant person at College Humor who was like, why don't we, turn Google into a human being?
Can you be Google for a second? Can you do it?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just angry. All I do is like look at camera and scream, basically.
It's really funny. You
It
guys
is really
have
funny.
to check it out if you
I
haven't
really
seen
undersold that, but I can't be pimped out. I have to go into my process.
You're right.
I have to open up the browser inside myself and then log
It's like when
on.
people say, "Tell a joke." You're like, "Oh, screw you."
Yeah,
No.
that's my joke. Screw
Sorry
you.
about that.
Did we answer? Do we answer her question? She just said talk
She just
about it.
said talk about it. She just wanted to talk about it.
Oh, let's
So,
discuss it. Let's really get into
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
Well, this is to their credit. They heard from someone in like India or someone was asking permission if they could do their version of it, and so they started this whole discussion of sort of like, can we do like a global franchise like they did with The Office and stuff of this
Yeah.
premise. So I don't know what ever happened with that, but that like it was like the second or third one I shot. They were like, this is going on. And I was
How
like,
many of there was there like 10 or something?
No, there were 5.
7, 5?
5, I believe. But yeah, I won a Webby for it, which is cool.
That's awesome.
I think it's a Webby. A Streamy. Sorry. They're both infantile sounding awards, but
No, they're not.
Webby!
I would-
Streamy!
I mean,
A downloady!
Where's your trophy? Or
Trophy.
Award?
You know what? You just made the point.
where's your
Trophy.
trophy?
Trophy.
It's millennials these days like me. Everyone gets a trophy.
Everybody gets
No.
it.
I mean, it is really funny, and I love a lot of the stuff that you've done online. I think.
Thanks.
Well, do you ever feel like that might be your perfect media platform ish? I mean, you're great in other stuff too, obviously, but every time I see you online, it just really fits.
Maybe it's a scale thing. Maybe you're not comfortable with me being in a window that's more than 4 inches wide or
No,
something.
I don't think that. I guess I just like seeing you everywhere. I'm
that's
always
nice.
like, oh.
That's cool. I don't know. Like shooting that stuff doesn't feel any different than shooting other stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, and it's not really. I mean, if you really think in terms of, if I think in terms of like how many people were reached by doing the Google stuff, it completely dwarfs like kind of everything else I've
Stuff
done.
that's actually that you have on television,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
I know. I have no idea what is ahead. Like, again, I talk about my daughter a lot, but she's cool.
Is she a teenager yet?
She is 11.
Okay.
So she's tweeny.
Ooh, I feel bad for you. You
Oh,
have
no, she's-
some times ahead of you, my friend.
Yeah. I don't know. She's kind of the best. And she figures out a lot of stuff early.
Have you ever seen Big Mouth? I'm sure you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, there were earlier signs of like when I was like, oh, that's hormonal. That's a shift that's going on that you can't control. As long as I remind myself, it's like, oh, you're you're not in control.
It's the hormone monster.
Yeah, you're not driving right now.
Yeah.
So I understand the door being slammed in my face.
Exactly.
So anyway, so she watches YouTube, stars, and she knows about all this stuff. And I feel like there's a huge just strata of there's a whole world of entertainment that I do not know about.
Me too. With the
my God.
YouTube star stuff, that was after my time a little bit.
Yeah.
And I have little sisters, and it's so interesting because I've watched some of the videos and they just do weird challenges that and it doesn't, I don't know, I don't get it.
It is there are Black Mirror future shock moments that happen so often. I was like, okay, so this video is about her taking that out of that package and then holding it up.
Sometimes I watch those.
Yeah.
If it's like a box that has beauty goodies in it and stuff, and it's some beautiful celebrity, like, oh my God, look at this collagen face mask. You guys are gonna get this awesome. Is
it like Christmas morning for the world or something? It's just like I don't.
The idea of opening a box and not knowing what's in it.
Yeah, but I guess as you see this, Beats by Dre, you know that there's going to be a Beats by Dre coming out of that box.
Yeah.
But then the thrill is, what kind of packaging is it? I mean, is it corrugated cardboard? Is it, better not be in styrofoam?
Oh, no, that's bad. I don't think those kids would do that. What are they, I'm millennial. They're Gen whatever's the next one.
Oh, they have... Yeah, I read something recently. They're trying to come up with a term for them.
I mean... Oh, we have someone else.
Oh, do we have the person who came up with the term online?
Someone, something like, said, Reggie something in The Lost Art of Forehead Sweat, best episode in season 11 of the X-Files.
Yeah.
That is an OG fan right there.
That was this year. That was a great gig that I had. One of my favorite jobs I've ever done in my life.
Really?
Oh my God, so fun.
Was it really? Tell us a little bit about working on X-Files.
They were super cool. Like, I think once they've...
David Duchovny. Cool.
Yeah, Coveney and Jillian.
Yeah.
I call them. Covey and Jill. Once they realized that I was not crazy and high maintenance and funny, they relaxed around me.
They were like, let him in.
He's cool. And then the director is this guy, Darren Morgan, who does sort of the super meta weird episodes.
Yeah.
And I think I'm being typecast at this point because I was a conspiracy nut who thought that he was that I started the X-Files.
Oh yeah.
And so the whole thing is about the unreliability of memory, and that this unseen force is changing people's memories, and so no one has the same memory of the same event.
Oh, that's really cool. I gotta watch that.
It's a good one. It is like, I mean, I'm tooting my own horn. It's not me. It's all Darren, and those guys. But everyone said it was the best episode of the season, and
that's awesome.
It was so fun. I mean, I think it was really fun because I got to work with them, and the episode was pretty much about my character, and I got to be dramatic and I got to be ridiculous, like. He would have me do a really dramatic take and then do one that was just where I was chewing up the scenery and just over the top and bad and like eye rolls and kind of like double takes and stuff.
Which one did they end up putting on air?
It was all, he would just pick and choose. And he told me early on, he's like, okay, your audition was great, very dramatic. I know you can do this, but I'll let you know that when people do my episodes, they get kind of confused because I'll have them do that, and then I'll have them do like a super goofy take and a comedic thing, and then whatever. And I just, as I build it, I kind of try to piece it together the way I see it. Yeah, because they give him full permission because he does he messes with the genre.
Is he the same director for the whole season?
No, he's one of the original writers, and I don't know if he just like pitched like, what if we did, I don't know what his early ones were, but like, what if we did one where they're chasing, a Sasquatch and it's kind of a funny episode.
Yeah.
And he just does this thing where he just messes with the genre.
I love that.
It's great. It's really cool.
And I'm not saying it's campy, but I love campy personally. It makes things a little bit interesting.
Yeah. And I think they have a good time and they're super funny. Like they had a good time getting to be goofy.
Well, I love this new genre that's come out in the past few years, the horror comedy, and I'm a big fan of that. I could see you doing something really fun with horror comedy.
Well, I think we did that with this, but maybe we did too much horror in this one.
No, it is horror, but in a way, still I'm seeing it, I guess, as like a farce of something.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Which it is, but I mean, I'm talking big time.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking big time.
We'll talk about you
horror
being
comedy.
my manager after this if you
Well,
get some time.
is there anything else coming up for you in the future besides, of course, the hilarious Mr. Neighbors house?
Oh, you mean on June 24th at midnight on Adult Swim?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I am coming back on Veep for the final season of Veep. I played Leon West on that.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even gotten your career is honestly pretty crazy. Veep is one of the biggest shows ever.
Oh, it's such a good show.
It really is a
such a
great
good
show.
show.
What's it been like to have a pretty sizable role in the entirety of things, on that kind of show?
Great. I mean, it. Yeah, I had, was there sort of an early audition process, and Armando Iannucci created is such a great director for an actor, in that he really lets you know how much he trusts you, and why, and he gives you value, early on. He's like, there's something very funny about you. You have a very interesting take on this. I really like what you're doing with this character. Go ahead and continue. And that gives you so much sort of like
Absolutely.
confidence, and investment. That's the biggest thing. You feel very invested, and it goes back to the improv thing. Like it just clicks into my thing of like, oh, we're all helping each other out on this. Like nobody's trying to be the star here. We're all sort of like
Supporting each other.
yeah, to the degree where like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, sometimes there were some scenes where she would be like, oh, it doesn't sound right me saying this line, give it to Tony or give it to the guest star or whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and it is all in service of like the project.
Yeah.
So that's very cool.
And sad it's ending, definitely.
I know. But it kind of, it otherwise.
You don't want to stay at the party too long.
Yeah.
And be that drunk person at the end that has to be taken home.
No. You don't want 7 drunk people on TV.
No, never.
Get that off. No.
So yeah, of course you have that coming out.
Got that coming out. People of Earth on TBS.
Yeah.
We're having some scheduling stuff, so we're sort of figuring that out. That's it right now. So
It's a good amount of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll take both of those. Yeah, in a heartbeat. But I'm sure a lot of casting and industry people just watch this on a live feed. So I'm available, all the time.
Yeah, this was actually a surprise secret audition for you.
Oh, for what? Just to be an interviewed actor?
No. We have some casting directors watching this currently.
Oh my God, it never ends. You think you get there and it just never ends. You just always got to doing the work.
I know. Sorry we had to sneak that up on you.
Well, it's fine. I wish I had shown some of my other talents. But
well, what are you going to do, guys?
what are you going to do? You know what? You do what you do when you're on TV.
Well, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thanks for
me
the
to
time.
interview. Of course. Where can everyone find you on social media for those that don't know?
I like to keep it simple, guys. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and the handle is @thebrianhuskey.
Yes.
So
follow him for updates. And of course, don't forget to watch
Mr. Neighbors House 2, June 24th.
It's really, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
I
very
enjoyed
proud of
it a lot. So congratulations. Thank you all for tuning in. You can find me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43 on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for the questions, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, America.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
I nailed that.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.